Hey guys, this is Sean from Southwestern Studios. Today we'll be taking a look at the Sony A6500 kit lens, or lack thereof. What do I mean by that? We're gonna find out. So there's actually a big debate from Sony camera users about how good the quality is of the Sony kit lens. Some say it's good, some say it's not so good. So today we're gonna do some test shots and we're gonna find out the answer to that question. So let's get started right now. So for the first part of this video, I'll be mainly walking around, taking some photos, and just seeing what this kit lens has to offer. Now, to give you the specs on this lens, it's a really small, tiny little, almost pancake lens, as you can tell. It's the 16 to 50 power zoom, 3.5 to 5.6 OSS lens, which is saying a lot, but it's just basically the standard features that you find on a decent amount of Sony glass. It's really small, it's really lightweight, really compact, especially when using it with the A6000. Now again, I'm just gonna be walking around, taking some photos of this park, and then later on we're gonna get into some more in-depth tests. One using my trusty iPhone 6, and another one using the 50mm 1.8 E-mount lens. So again, let's get to it. Alright guys, so now I'm just finished walking around, taking photos with this lens and seeing how they come out with. Now, they look okay so far, but I can't give you a good indication until I get to Lightroom and really check it out. So next up, we're going to get to the meaty part of the test, and I'm going to be testing out this lens versus the 50mm 1.8 and versus the iPhone 6. And we're going to see just what the differences are between the images. So let's continue on. Alright, so the test between the kit lens and the 50mm is finished. Now I shot it obviously 50mm here, 50 here, 5.6 here, and 5.6 here to even the odds. And from what I can tell you right now, it looks, for most shots, this prime lens significantly outperforms this little kit lens at 50mm 5.6 and ISO 100. There is a clear difference in image quality. This one, okay. This one really makes this camera sing. So next up is the test between this and the iPhone 6. So let's get started. Alright guys, it's been a long hot day and I'm ready for some water. We finally finished the test between the iPhone and the kit lens, and the results that I got from this test were the iPhone held up very well to this kit lens up until the point when you started cropping in, and then that's when we really started to see the 8 megapixels versus the 24 megapixels. But as far as pure image quality was concerned, these two were very, very close. Now this alarms me because I know that this camera is capable of so much more. But with this lens being on it, I feel that it's somewhat limited, somewhat handicapped, and even a little bit crippled due to the image quality that's coming out of this. So if you were to buy a Sony camera expecting to have good image quality because you saw all of us on YouTube, all of us on the internet, you know, showing how great it is, and you get this, start taking pictures and realize that you're gonna get the same pictures out of your iPhone, that's not that great, you know? So in order to get the most out of this body right here, this series body, you're gonna need to put on a different lens, and pretty much, in my experience, any other lens that you have will work much better than this right here. Now, I want to talk to you about the pros and cons real quick about this lens. Number one, the pros of this lens is it's relatively small, it's compact, it's lightweight, it has power zoom capabilities, so it's good for video, it's fairly quiet, and those are pretty much its pros. Now the cons, on the other hand, and the main con, this is it, is the image quality is subpar enough to where it becomes a lesser camera because of that. So for the Sony Alpha series of cameras, I feel that you get the camera body and you get a good lens. And then if you want to take some snapshots, then you can use your phone or whatever you have with you, because this is severely going to limit what you can do with this specific body. Now there are ways to work around that, and there are things that we can do with this within its means, but as far as pure image quality is concerned, this lens is no good. Hopefully you can find something different for it, but I can tell you right now, pretty much anything different you put on this is going to be much better than just using this kit lens as it is. So these are my final thoughts on this test. Out here on location, I'll be back into Lightroom showing you what the photos look like. Then I'll be giving you my final overview of the 16 to 50 3445 PSS OSS or PZ OSS kit lens for the Sony A6000, A6300, but not the A6500. Take it. Alright guys, so we are here with Lightroom now, and we're going to go ahead and get it started by taking a look at these pictures that I've taken. Now on the left we have the A6000 with the kit lens. On the right we have the A6000 with the 50mm 1.8 lens. So right away we have here some dried mushrooms, and pretty much from the beginning of it, they look about the same. There doesn't seem to be too much of a difference. So let's go in there and look a little bit closer. Now that we get close, you can really see the difference. So here, look at this mushroom right here. It's hazy, it's not really that sharp, and it's not really that clear. Now we look at the same mushroom on this one, which is the 50mm 1.8, and you can immediately see there's a huge difference. Alright, moving on. Same thing, you look at these mushrooms right here, and there is a lot of difference in the detail. Even in these little pieces of wood right here. All these little wood chips and such. Much more detail over here than there is on this side. This just has a really hazy, kind of washed out look to it. So I'm going to go back out, and we're going to take a look now at these right here, this is on top of the tree, and these are some leaves that are growing out. So now we're going to move over to the tree and the leaves coming off the tree. Now again, looking at it from this perspective, both the kit lens and the 50 look pretty close, or pretty similar to each other, I should say. You can see a little bit of detail loss maybe in this area, in the darker areas, but for the most part it looks the same. Now going in is where you're going to see the most drastic detail loss on the kit lens. Again, the same kind of hazy, faded out, washed out look. With the 50mm 1.8, it's not there. All these leaves are nice and sharp, and you can really see the details on the leaf that are already washed out on the kit lens. Alright, so going to next picture. Alright, so moving on to the next set. we are taking a look at this bicycle handlebar. And from here, you can actually see there is a little bit of a difference in sharpness on the kit lens as opposed to the 50. When we go closer, is where you will notice a huge and noticeable difference. Look at this Shimano right here. Again, real washed out. And because of that loss of detail, we actually lose a lot of the things that we will see in the 51.8. So in the 50, we can actually see the scratches here, and we can see them very well. On the kit lens, the scratches are just kind of washed out by the poor quality, poor performance of it. All right, so moving around, you can still see noticeable differences in the clarity, especially in this area right here and around this area right here. We don't have that. We don't have those issues that we have with the kit lens. The 51.8 is nice and sharp, no matter where you're going around. Look at this here. See the rust on both sides. The rust is faded out, washed out. But on the 50, you can see it really well. And on this little the gear shift, the gear changer here, again, nice and sharp. Not so much on the kit lens. All right, so we're going to go to the last set. Okay, all right, now on to the last one. We have a house and we have a tree. And from this perspective, everything looks pretty much the same. You can't really tell any difference. But once we go into the focus point, which is the tree, there's another noticeable difference, a huge difference. So on this side, again, you have the really washed out looking areas. And the 51.8, it's nice and sharp, nice and clear. You can really see those scratches, and you can really see the details in those scratches. Whereas the details aren't really that clear on the kit lens. So from these photos right here, as you can see, the 51.8 far outperforms the kit lens at 50 millimeters. This is 50 millimeters, and 5.6 is what it's at. But it really does a remarkable job of resolving what the A6000 is capable of. Whereas the kit lens, as you can see, especially right here, it really limits the performance that you get out of this camera. All right, guys, so we just finished taking a look at Lightroom, and my final thoughts on this whole comparison with this camera and this lens is this lens just isn't very good with this camera right here. Now, granted, it's very small, it's very compact, it's very lightweight, and it does have its uses, but as far as image quality goes, it's not a very good one, and it will really handicap this camera. So again, if you go into a store and someone says, yeah, this camera is a very nice one, you should buy it because it takes good images, you come back, you buy it, and you start taking photos with this, you're probably not going to be happy or not going to be pleased about what you bought. Now, if you put a new lens on it, pretty much any other lens, the 35 1.8, the 50 1.8, these are all cheap lenses too as well. They're fairly cheap lenses for this right here, and you're going to get much better image quality, much better. And then if you want to go real high, then you can get maybe the 24 millimeter 1.8, which is an amazing lens. But again, this kit lens right here is optically just a little bit better maybe than this iPhone lens, and far behind the 50 millimeter 1.8 and pretty much the rest of the comparative lenses at their focal lengths. So again, final thoughts: great camera saddled with the bad lens equals you're not going to get great pictures. But if you put a different lens on this camera right here, you will be getting some amazing shots. All right, guys, take care. Stay tuned for next video, and I will talk to you guys later.